Here we are. It's a local support pair programming. It's Sam, Michael, and John. I think yes, we'll see how it goes. Michael and I were just talking about some of the recent developments with Do It, who is the national organisation for volunteering in the UK, and also with the Harrow Council and discussions with them. And you know, it's we'll see. I mean, maybe we're on the cusp of some new stage for local support and everything, but who knows? I'll believe it when the money is in my bank account. Anyway, or obviously, you know, in an escrow scheme or something. Anyway, so we've got actually here. Yeah, so this is the staging thing. So we've got our little Do It thing here with hundreds of restrictions as specified by Do It. And we've got. Did you look at this? We've got basically now a few Do It things, and at the moment these link directly out to the organisation.
Cool.
And then the actual Do It opportunity within that particular organization. So, and there's actually, at the moment, this is a bit gunky. There's like more than one volunteer opportunity per organization, but because of the nature of the data, it's only displaying, well, unlike some of our ones, which will show multiple, there we go, like multiple opportunities. We can't do that yet with Do It, and that and some other things have basically prompted us to kind of try and pull the Do It stuff into the database and kind of use the databases to cache the Do It stuff, and then just sort of, you know, that should make it all simpler and also allow us to display more. The reason we're only displaying, I think there's more Do It opportunities. The reason we're only displaying this number is that at the moment it's, you know, our server is calling out to the Do It system and pulling in the data via JSON and this, that, and the other. So, does that all make sense?
So, how would we expire that cache?
Well, in principle, we could be expiring it related to the. I mean, I imagine that we would be running a rate task at like a daily frequency, and basically it would just be updating daily. And so, you know, it could be clearing anything that wasn't re-entered after that day could be cleared. The opportunities themselves from Do It also have expiry dates on them, and so on. And so, and I think that one of the things actually is that we've noticed, for example, if I look at one of these ones from the Harrow Volunteer Centre, which is Steve, who's the guy who gave us money before, some of these things, like this was posted, you know, really quite a long time ago. Rachel has pointed out some of the organisations, some of the data in there is for organisations that no longer exist. And so, like, actually, even like one of the things that they'd like us to be able to do is almost prune the Do It data and kind of cache it more aggressively. So check, okay, if this is older than 3 months, just we're not going to be able to display it, and that kind of thing. And if we have that, you know, stored in the database, I think it all becomes much easier. So let's have a look here. So Osmago's done, right, he's done his own branch here, which I hope is maybe based on what I started on. Let's go and have a look at it. Did he do a pull request on that?
I mean, how does this compare to some of the other caching schemes? I'm trying to remember.
When you say some of the other caching schemes, you mean what sorts of caching schemes?
Oh, don't people use those like in-memory caches or whatever?
They do. Like, you mean like Reddit or something?
Yeah, like that.
And all those other things.
Not Reddit,
Yes.
Redis.
Reddit, that's it. Yes, yes. I've been, yeah. It's Reddit. You know, it's letters here. And he's managed to get it now. Cool. I would say that, you know, in terms of how it compares, it's probably more heavyweight in terms of it being the database.
Yeah. But right.
Personally, I've done quite a lot of work with different caching systems over the last year as part of Makers Academy, and I'm not a big fan of them, you know, except for very, very simple setups, to be honest. They've you know, in this context, you know, we've got a whole host of features that we want to do that are related to like stuff that we already support, like it's just like listing these in the right order and you know, in terms of recency and so on. And so at the moment we've got kind of like parallel streams. Like if we look at the code, is this the right code base? Yeah, if we look at the code here for, let's get rid of the script.
So if we had it in a database, we could use
Right.
active records built-in
Yeah.
functionality.
Exactly. Yeah. So at the moment we've got these two parallel streams. Have we here? Volunteer ops. Am I looking at
The
the
only
right?
thing that I,
Go on, Michael.
if we go for that, well, we don't actually have an individual volunteer op page for those volunteer ops, right?
We don't for uh,
They like to do it. It just references you to do it, right? There's
right.
no internal.
Yeah, I mean, in principle, what it would allow us to support is individual pages for the do it ops if we wanted. I
What I'm
suspect.
thinking though
Well,
is if we just use the out of the box Rails solution,
hmm.
those are indexed by ID, and
Yes.
that ID would be constantly changing if we were hammering the database.
Well, I don't know that it would. Well, we could be using. We could. I mean, one of the things we should be moving towards is rather than. I mean, I think that it's rather ridiculous as a do it opportunity. Is we should be using some
Right.
scheme that actually puts the. So if I go back up in here,
That's what.
like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, you could have
this
names
should be like that
or
should have. Really, this should kind of be.
some
You know,
kind of like volunteer warehouse assistant
Right, and
stand
it should
stuff
be
together.
underneath, this thing for Radio Broccoli, and we want, I think, sensible semantic, you know,
Right. So as it is right
yeah,
now,
yeah.
though, what I'm pointing out is that uh,
Go on.
if someone had a link to it, like from yesterday, and they
Right.
gave it to someone today, then
Hmm.
that link could be invalid depending on how you deal with the caching.
Yeah, yeah. Indeed. Although I mean, yes, I feel like that's something that we can address.
Okay, we'll go on. Go on.
Yeah. So I mean, so at the moment we've still got this is the key thing is that so we've got these two kind of streams which are this is our in our index we get our list of volunteer ops ordered by most recent, and then we get for the map a list of organizations associated with those volunteer opportunities. So these two
Right.
components, yeah, go in there and get that was the stuff that was already there. And then now what we've done, and previously markers was just a build markers thing, but now in order to build markers with both the data from our database and from the that's coming through the API, we were originally going through a different service we've got, which is have I removed the previous one? What have we got? No, we are right. It's this is the service. So this is the service. So Yana and some others worked on this, and this is now my refactored version of their system. And it's basically going and it's hitting this API endpoint and only getting like half a mile radius in the center of Harrow, and that needs to be bigger. And yeah, so it kind of goes out, and where's the thing now? Have I created another service for it to hit? Oh, no, that's HTTP. It's using HTTP party. Yeah, so it's basically processes. I mean, I'm not, I don't know that necessarily the data flow through this. I mean, this was what Yana set up, and then I just sort of squeezed it down into like several chunks. But effectively, we can kind of rewrite. What we'll need is for our rate task, we'll need a service that, like, this is the kind of stuff that actually could go in a gem, could go in a do it gem that will consume from their endpoint. Yeah, but actually, whether we've got time to make a gem or not, I don't know. But like all this stuff is sort of totally non-specific to the local support thing, and totally it's about their API. So that could go out into a gem. But then it does this sort of merging the JSON markers back together, and but so that ends up with us if we get rid of all these other bits and pieces. Where's the lost it? List volunteer opportunities. Jobs controller, yeah, and so that pops out. That we then have the do it orgs, which is another organizations list. We have markers, which is like the pair of them, and then so we end up with these two lists, which effectively I think shouldn't be separate, and these and one joint set of markers in kind of play there. I guess what I'm tempted to do is just locally because one of the key motivations that we have for going into the let's get rid of these. Close this. is the performance issue. So I haven't actually looked. They tell me this, but if we put like say 3 miles into there, and then we run the Rails server here, apparently that's very, very slow to load.
Well, how big is Harrow?
Harrow is like, I don't know. Well, I'm sort of assuming from that it must be like a sort of a 10-mile radius or something. I don't know. I would say it can't be. It can't be more than 10 miles across. At the very extreme, I would say. Oh, there we go. So that's taking a long time to load. Let's see how many come in. Yeah, it is doing it. Yeah. So there we go. Yes. So that was. I mean, that was clearly an unacceptable load time.
Yeah.
But we can see how there's actually, we would certainly love all of these opportunities to be appearing. But there's certainly, I don't think there's any reason. I mean, I think a daily update on these things would be perfectly acceptable. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no one's saying we need to like have this like as soon as a opportunity is posted and do it, it needs to immediately appear here. At least that's what I'm saying at the moment. So.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the performance issue that's saying, right, let's stick the things in the database. The fact that we'd like it to be largely integrated. Yeah. So does that any? Your point about the IDs is a concern, but any other things that pop out from that?
Oh, that makes sense. So, how far along are you on this?
Well, on this refactoring task, what I've basically done is...
So what is the refactoring task? I mean,
well, the refactoring task is to effectively... So we've got this service which currently hits the API and brings the stuff back in the right format. And what we want to do is to sort of repurpose this service, I guess effectively into a job. I don't know if that's actually the term we necessarily want to use for it. But so this service will become a job, and it will stick stuff in the database. And so then effectively the controller can be refactored so that it doesn't actually need to call the service. It's just going to call directly to the database, which is
or call a service a different service or whatever.
Well, indeed, and actually, so that's in terms of how far I got along is what I'd done is I'd started creating a service. So as usual, I'm probably overthinking these things terribly. But what I was thinking about, we'd named this list volunteer opportunities, but actually what it does is it returns a list of organizations that have volunteer opportunities. So I've done this service here, which like so, and so this is list organization with volunteer ops, which is actually, what that thing is doing. Although then we've got it doing two things. So it works out the organizations that have volunteer opportunities, and then it basically it also calls out and builds the map markers. And I'm kind of in two minds about. I don't feel like I have the perfect understanding of how the map markers work that I would like. And anyway, but so that was where I started. I just made I didn't make any changes to the controller. I just made this service that would, effectively would replace, maybe ultimately all of this controller here.
Okay. So.
And then I hadn't looked at it, but Zmago, I think, just posted up. He's done some commits which I've got pulled out here, which are some changes. Where we can find them? That's completely the wrong repository. Yes. So he's just put in here a couple of commits. So this is to change the table, to migrate the table, so that okay. And I guess this is now out. Is that out of sync with the develop because of other things I've merged in? But yeah, so he's got some changes here to add this kind of info. So you can see what I was saying before is because we'll be storing the volunteer op lat and long, that's kind of related to this, volunteer ops being in a different location from the organization anyway.
Okay.
So I guess, Do I just need? Do you want to try? Do you want to pull out this branch locally for yourself?
Yeah. So what is it called?
It's called.
Add test-driven draft of list organization with volunteer ops.
I think.
Refactor do it. Okay. Let me see.
I think it's this 113613. You know, it's got this pivotal ID. I'll put it in the chat.
I got it. Get.
Yeah, no, I feel good to have
Setup
confirmed.
You do everything on.
So get pool origin.
That's interesting. Why do I?
Yeah, so Zmago has pulled those directly into my local. And if I do get here merged, I should also do get pool origin. I did merge in some other bits and pieces. Okay, yeah. Okay, well it says it's interesting. It says it's already up to date with develop. I was just surprised to see.
Oh, we changed to 2.3. Ruby 2.3.
We did, yeah.
Okay, let me RVM install. It's gonna take a little while.
Yeah, no worries. I'm a little surprised here to see in the. Interesting. So he merged in.
Was Zmago one of your maker students, or?
No, he's. I think he's in Slovenia. He's just a regular.
Member?
Yeah, I think he's gone through 169. Huh. I'm just a little. I mean, I guess there's different. But anyway, so he's added, yeah, very specifically that migration with those 4 fields, which, yes, I guess that's fine for going on with. What was I doing? There was he was asking the question about. Did I put it in that local support tracker? He was asking the question for. No, I thought I pulled out. Oh, yeah. I think I pulled out like the data structure of the thing that comes back from. Did I put that in fixtures here? Yeah, here we go. We can see this is the data structure that comes back from do it. So we can see we get an address.
JSON hash.
Yeah. City, created date description. And then it gives. This is the like. It's like a recruiter. This is like. So this is like the ID to the organization. And this is the ID of the opportunity, and then it's got like some extra metadata about the opportunity. And it gives us the latitude and longitude. And because they're giving us the latitude and longitude, I mean, in principle, I mean, he's added those 4 items. I don't know that we necessarily need. So I know, and I sort of set up to say, right, well, the things that we need to do, we need to create a migration to at least have the URL to the volunteer ops table. I mean, in our thing here, in principle, we can stick the organization ID in the existing organization ID, and it's a do it one rather than a. I mean, the thing here is that those columns are all very well. I think the critical thing we need is, I don't know that we necessarily need the postcode. I don't think there's any way that we have to display the postcode, because we don't need to do geocoding on this one. I think what we need here, rather than postcode, is the source. I mean, if we're looking longer term towards what the volunteer ops needs, then it needs kind of like, you know, potentially the full address to support something that hasn't come out of do it. I mean, how's your Ruby 2.3 installation going there?
It installed, and I installed Bundler, and now I'm bundle installing.
Okay, yeah, you didn't mesh the stuff.
So it's going through that right now.
Okay.
And then I'll migrate, and then run the tests. Takes a little while for Clang on OS X to. Took a little while for OS X to compile it.
Yeah. Look back at the list of data. I mean, I would say if we're going to have a space for the postcode, we might as well have a space for the address, and I think we must have this. You know, we must distinguish the source that the data has come from. Yeah, and so if we look at the
running Cucumber now, but let's see what's this doing. Migrations are oh, never mind. Rake DB.
Volunteer ops. So we've got title, description, organization ID created at.
All right, it's running. Cukes. So you don't need the postcode.
Well, right. I mean, you know, in principle, we don't need the postcode because DoIt's already geocoded it for us.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, whether that's going to fall foul of, I mean, I think we're set up though in our current flow with the volunteer ops controller is what this build maps marker does. I think it automatically. Does it automatically geocode for us? I'm not sure.
I got a failure on some other test.
Have you?
Interesting. Sounds like a timing issue.
Yeah, that's the other key thing I've got to be looking at. Do you want to share your screen?
Sure. Let me do that.
But yeah, I mean, I guess it's probably to support our flow, which, I mean, do we, and we're sticking these things on the organization location. You're on OS X, right?
What?
You're on OS X?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. Have you run Bower install?
No, maybe that's what I need to do.
Should be npm install though, because that will run Bower install.
Okay.
npm install Bower?
Nope, it's npm install.
I mean, this isn't a fresh repo, so it should be there. I don't know though. Maybe updating Ruby messes with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, those two. I mean, just seeing the Mesa one reminded me of precisely
Yeah.
that thing that had been a problem for me in the past. The ones that
And they
we,
didn't all fail. It was just like one of them for some
yeah,
reason.
I mean, the ones that the things that we've got some outstanding problem. I haven't seen that one fail for myself. I mean, I should also run.
It's that
Uh,
same one failing again. Um,
if I have migrated things.
Something. I mean, it didn't used to fail.
Mm.
It might have something to do with the fact that today's a leap day. Didn't we have special date
It
logic for what to show?
could be it.
Interesting corner case.
A leap day bug.
Hmm.
Let's see, what is this other thing? This is also okay. That's suspicious.
Already geocoded those guys.
That is suspicious. You might be right, John, because this other one has got to do with details 0 days into the future.
Ah.
Interesting.
Okay. Well, I guess in principle we could write a test to catch that, couldn't we? My one, it's just telling me to.
Well, I mean, we don't necessarily know if it's a bug in the code or a bug in the test. If you open that step definition, I'm curious how it handles the movement of time in the test.
Wonder where that is actually. Hmm.
I'm just gonna just thinking about the changes to the database. I'm sort of thinking here, like, address and postcode covers our backs. In terms of source, like one of the like we could have source where we kind of specify that the source was do it, and then that's insulation in the future against there being multiple different kinds of sources that we might be getting these things from. I'm also thinking I could just stick the ID, the do it ID, in there as a source, but I think it feels like it might be more
So,
future-proof. Go on.
and I travel a year plus blank days into the future. Is this right here, 6 and 7. Timecop.travel, current advanced years 1 days 2I.
Right.
That's
So,
timecop.
I
Well, it's
mean,
using time.
what it's probably doing is 1 year in the future is 3-1.
Well, it may have hard coded 365.
Not with date.current.advance.
What's time.current.advance do?
Oh, same thing. I mean, just I would yank that line, put it above, and do puts so you can evaluate what the date is when you run the test.
Mm.
Oh shit, how do I paste in, what is it?
P.
P? No,
So come out of.
that sucked. There we go.
You need to get rid of the close parentheses at the end of your line. Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind. You're good.
Let's see. Well, let's just run it, see what it does.
Right.
So 2/28/2017.
Right. and the database query we run probably doesn't agree that that is a year in the future. It probably thinks a year in the future is March 1st.
Mm. So it thinks it's less than a year.
Mm-hmm.
So is that a
time cop issue or a our code issue?
Well, Ruby's saying that a year, like the Ruby inbuilt time thing, is saying that a year from today is February 28th,
Okay.
2017.
Mm.
And she's like, active record is saying that it's March 1st, John?
We have to look at the implementation. I'm going to pull up the code.
So where are we actually implementing this?
Mm.
Are you going to look at that, John?
Yeah, I'm looking it up.
Okay.
I'm just going to look on develop, though.
So Sam,
Hmm.
how are you doing with what is that test?
All right. Do you want to look at app services queries organizations? I think the function that's responsible for this logic is add recently updated and has owner. The thing is, yeah,
Yeah, that's probably it.
we're using Ruby
Traffic.
interpolation there as well.
Huh.
So it's not like a conflict between what Postgres thinks is a year ago versus what Ruby does.
Yeah.
Could you just put a puts there as well for 1 year ago?
I'm getting the same error on mine, by the way. I'm getting it in the RSpecs. And Michael, I noticed you've gone all Vim. Is that a permanent change?
What?
You're on Vim rather than Ruby mode.
Just felt like it today.
Yeah, cool.
Plus it's faster.
Mm.
Well,
Did it put out the same date? Or is that
so
the puts
it's
from...
2016 to 28.
That doesn't even, I'm not even sure if we hit that line. I might be wrong that we went through that method. Because it's supposed to be time.current.advanced years minus 1, so why are we still in 2016? Doesn't make sense to me.
I don't know.
Yeah, could you put like an extra puts that says hello? Just so we know that we hit that.
So and we're using.
Oh, I know why it is. Because we use time cop to go into the future.
Okay, so going into the future and then coming back puts us
So
at the 28th.
It's made the 28th of February.
Right. Right, because it thinks
And
the
then it
future is the
comes-
28th. Yeah.
So then it comes back to the 28th. And then it says,
I mean, I'm getting here like there's a base organization spec on line 20 is failing.
Michael, I suggest we change this from, oh fuck, it has to be 1 year. I was going to say let's make it 4 years so that we're always in sync with the leap year, but we can't actually do that,
Well,
can
I mean, you know, the thing is like we've got. I would say let's make it a year and a day, or because like I don't think that the client. What we've got is set up is saying like if you've been inactive for a year, then your dot is small, right? But I don't think the client really cares whether it's 364 days or 366 days or what have you. So if we just adjust it so it's slightly longer, then we won't have this issue, will we?
I think we will. I think we're just skipping ahead of it by a day or falling behind it by a day.
Right.
I mean, the problem is that in our test we fast forward a year, which Ruby believes is the 28th of the February, and
Right.
then we rewind a year, which rewinds back to February 28th of this year.
Right. Well, I have a look at my screen. I mean, we've also got failing, like we've got this in the base organization spec.
Okay,
We've
well
got this
that's
one.
a good point. It shouldn't say 365 days ago. It should say 1 year ago,
Right.
um, or date.current minus or I might be wrong, but I always thought that 1 year ago is less consistent
Yeah.
with.
Well, interestingly, well, switching that to 1 year ago
Does
makes it
fix it?
pass. That
Okay.
fixes that one. Uh, I'm going to look at the other. That was one of the two RSpec ones that were failing for me. We've got, what's this one? It's like a really weird.
Well, this only happens, one day out of every 1,400 or so.
Yeah.
So we just all take that day off and.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the interesting thing is the side effect in the site, like, is that it will just be, an organization who, like, the side effect in the site is kind of trivial, right? If the difference between these two things. So the problem effectively is only that our tests will fail on this day, and so the next time that we'll encounter this issue is in 4 years' time, when if we happen to be coding on this day, tests will fail and we'll be confused. Uh, I'm just looking at this. So what is this? This is organization specs. I've never. Do you see this? Look, it's usually gives me a number here. It's giving me like 1:1:2:2 in the organization spec. Which is kind of weird. I'm not sure how to interpret.
I guess the thing to do is to use timecop to like have a case or whatever where we actually use timecop to set us.
Right, like we could have a step that says given today's date is whatever.
Such and such. Yeah, which happens
day.
to be a leap day.
Yeah, any day except the leap day.
Right.
But then we could have a special test for, well,
yeah, or we could just ignore it.
True.
Michael, if you want to do that, I'll send you a step definition right now that I feel works well for saying today's date.
Okay.
We're using timecop.freeze. What's the verb? What's the method name? Freeze or travel?
I noticed throughout the
travel.
Okay. And so we have some like
freeze because of something. We couldn't use freeze.
So we have some tag on that step that like unfreezes at the end, like in an after hook, right? In the actual feature file.
We have a time travel tag.
Okay, perfect. All right, check the local support chat. I'm going to paste you a step definition.
Okay.
I think we also have a different set of problems in the RSpecs compared to. I think the RSpec are not using timecop.
Right. Although we could just do an around block.
Now I'm going to start Ruby mine.
Too hard to jump around in Cucumber. Unless you have the right plugins.
It's that it's a pain to paste with Ruby with V.
Oh, yeah, unless you have, again, a certain setting.
Are you using for your development most of the time now, John?
Yeah, I've been using it for a year and a half.
Using Vim. Cool. Yeah, and so this current advanced year is 1.
Map stuff.
And then
we'll put this basic steps. Sounds good.
I would make something called like time steps.
See, this should be its own branch. Let's check out.
okay, so that here you're using time call behaviors to set the particular. So we do it on a specific, because I guess but what we've got here is using the current advance. We've got effectively a degree of variation in our tests in that they're running on a different actual date rather than a specific date every time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Oh, get
checkout dash B as in Bravo.
Yeah, I know.
So effectively, we should create a new issue for this and that should be on a different branch.
Get step. Is there like a fast way?
What are you trying to do, Michael?
And is there like a fast way to just clean your staging area?
Yeah, you could do get add dot get reset dash hard.
Get add.
No, these are two commands. Get add dot will stage everything for a commit, and then if you get reset dash dash hard. Although I think the way you have it now, you don't even need to do that stage step. You could just get reset dash hard. Yeah.
All right, whatever. So we'll add a new file. Time. No, whatever. There you go. Save. Save. So I put the year. Okay. Year, month, and date.
Yeah.
4-digit year.
Uh-huh.
All right. So what's actually failing?
So are you?
What?
I've just created that. Oh, I guess you just created it like a random, or you just name the branch. I'm trying to get into this habit of using the pivotal ID to be the prefix on the name of the branch.
Oh, really?
I don't know if that's a habit that you want to get into.
Prefix.
You could just rename your current branch. Get branch dash M. Pass it a new name.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah.
Did you put a okay. Okay.
So this is kind of coming from Waffle, where using the ID in the branch name actually starts an issue, which we don't get from Pivotal because it's not as tightly integrated.
There we go.
But I'm finding it's handy to have, just even without the integration, to have.
All right.
I see at the beginning of the line.
What are we failing on?
But so did you not have any RSpec failures, by the way, Michael?
I didn't run them yet.
Oh, okay.
Just working on
the Cucumber, sure.
one thing at a time.
Sure. I usually run the Cucumber, the RSpecs first because they run faster.
True.
No. I mean, if you're focused on that now, totally, you should be focused on that now. Hmm.
What is that? Biology. Today's date. Okay, given today's date. $1980.
So you just need to select any day that's not the leap day, I guess.
12/25. Christmas 1980. Travel a year. Blah blah blah. So technically, save that. Rerun that feature. Hmm. Hmm. You have not updated your details in over a year. Expected to find that, but there were no matches.
Hmm. Do you want to step back? Go back in a minute.
So for some reason, that's not working. That's kind of weird.
Hmm. I mean, yeah, we can't pick an arbitrary year because the logic is based around this current year.
True.
In fact, yeah, I don't think actually that my step definition will work. It'll work for this year if we put in like 2016 2/28, but it'll start failing next year, March 1st, because that's over a year ago.
Mm. Wait, so if it was 1980 and then
Oh, I might be wrong, actually.
to travel a year plus, that would be 1981. I mean,
Yeah,
oh,
take back what I just
we're
said.
1981,
Uh-huh.
but I already set these. See, I set these organizations like in current time.
Good point. I think you need to move that given to the top step of the background. That today's date is, yeah.
But will that affect the database?
Mm-hmm.
It will?
Yeah, because we're talking to the database through active record, and so when it does create at and update it at, it uses Ruby, I believe.
Oh, that's interesting. We'll see whether that's true. That is true.
Cool.
It's actually depending on Ruby and not its own sense of time, which I thought it might because it's.
I mean, it makes sense because active record has to deal with multiple databases. They might have different
True.
definitions of how to calculate now.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that passed, and then we got to do. What the hell was the other step that wasn't passed? What was that other step? Map of local charities? What is this? Map of local charities. Features homepage map picture. So that's failing. We're going to see whether that's failing. So that failed. Set today's date to be 1980. Please work. You should work now. All right, I think all are working now. Now there's supposedly R. I'm going to run the cukes, but Sam's saying there's R specs that are failing too.
Yeah.
Sucks. We kind of got sidetracked. I saw that you're working on getting us up to date with JavaScript.
Yeah. It's going to be a long road. The first thing that I'd like to target is our use of those components from Backbone, which, you know, it's more than just a CSS. It's like the thing that runs our login dropdown.
Right.
So I have a branch that I worked on a little bit, not last weekend, but the weekend before with Marion, to implement.
Bootstrap.
Yeah.
We're using Bootstrap 2, which is really old.
What did I say?
I think you said Backbone, but maybe I was wrong.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, I would like to move with South Bootstrap 2, but I think our hardest dependency on it are those components. So Marion and I, weekend before last, paired on implementing it in React. It works fairly good. Just need to do a little more connecting to the backend now.
Yeah. Cool. Something else failed, which was seems like it's totally unrelated. It was just a random failure. Had to do with clicking. Yeah, a bunch of things started failing.
Did we? Oh, you know what? We need to move that time travel undo hook outside of. I think we have it tagged on the oh wait, is it at the top of the feature?
Oh, because we moved it to the top of the feature, so maybe it's not being undone.
Yeah, where is the tag for undoing time travel?
It should be in support or something, right? Maybe. Where do tags go?
I mean, just look at one of the step definition or feature files that is using it. Okay, add time travel. Yeah, so we need to just tag it at the feature level, you know, at the very first line of the file.
Like that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could go even higher. I don't know if it works on top of background. It might. You could give it a run, but I often just put it above feature.
Okay. And then the other one.
You can afford to remove it from lines 20, like the other references to in the file.
Yeah. I'm gonna do that. Let's move that. Remove that. And remove that. Save all. Alright, let's rerun it. Hopefully that fixes it. So Marion said like a week or two ago you were working with her on JavaScript testing it, namely.
Yep.
2 weeks ago or something.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yep.
Looks like that might have fixed it. I haven't seen anything broken yet. It's kind of weird that the running through those like the individual features didn't undo it. That's kind of interesting. I mean the scenarios or whatever. It didn't undo it.
Right. Hey guys.
Hello.
How's it going?
So all the cukes are passing now.
Oh, cool.
No. Now I'm going to go to the specs. One spec failing.
Yeah, there were two. One of them there's a quick fix.
Second spec failing. Alright, spec models. What are you doing?
Yeah, so that the
1122.
That's because there's if there's a loop going on there. But to go to the other one first, the other one is a simple fix. The base organization spec. That's just got like a 365 days, and if you just replace it with 1 year.
Base organization spec.
Yeah, it's just there. It's about yeah. There you go. So there's is it like on line 19? It says 365 days ago. If you just say 1 year ago, that will fix it.
And the other one.
And then the other one I was looking at is less immediately clear how to. Well, it's less immediately clear how to fix it. That's the organization spec. So it's kind of like nested inside. If you look up the name of it's difficult to find because it's got this like 1122 that says GMap for Rails marker. And if you scroll down a bit in there, this is like GMap for Rails marker attributes. Yeah, I think you're in the right place. And so if you go a little bit further down, somewhere in there it's like there's like an array like with different day values being passed in, and it's looping through. If you close the there you go. You see there line 52. So like that 365 days there, it's like advancing that time current advance. Is that time.current? That's not timecop, is it?
No.
No, that's just part of Ruby.
What was our basic? What was our time steps doing? That's time cop we're using there. Okay.
So anyway, I think I might need to go off now because it's getting past my lunchtime. I will maybe leave you and John to fix that bit up there. I mean, I can be available again in about an hour or so.
All right.
What's your timeline looking like, Michael?
I'll probably be around an hour, but I should be around in an hour.
Yeah. I mean, on my side, I've just got this. I kind of modified Zmago's thing to add like a source. And there's some interesting questions that come up about: do we start pulling in organizations from Do-It and storing them in our database and other sort of stuff? Anyway, we can maybe look at that after lunch. Yes. I've almost finished reading domain-driven design as well. But,
what do you think of that?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely some gems in the center of the book, but it's very long. I'm kind of now in this sort of section of like really high-level enterprise patterns, where it's like, I mean, it's kind of interesting, but it's like the answer for everything is everything. It depends.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like almost, wow, this guy can talk.
He does write a lot. I mean, he does write a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it's kind of weird because, like, in the book,
yeah,
isn't there like a part that's like highlighted or something?
Or
bolded or something? There's like some part of the text that's like separate.
It definitely breaks out into different sort of sections and sub bits and stuff.
Maybe I'm remembering wrong. I thought there was like a part that was like italic or something. Like every page, there's like a random paragraph that's like italic. Maybe not.
I mean, there are certain like sections where there's big chunks of bold sections.
Yeah, like people said, like if you just read those bold sections,
right.
they claim you get most of it.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah.
I mean, I think there's some very. I don't know if you saw. I mean, I think you weren't on Slack for a while. I was posting. I think it was this whole section on. What is it? Is it this one here? I mean, I would say that the middle portion of the book is much stronger than the beginning. It just seems like so if you go back in Tech Talk, I can probably find the. I will get back from there. No, probably can't get that history. Maybe we can.
Guys, I have to go. I'll see you guys later.
Take it easy, John. Good to see you.
Bye.
Anyway, it's there's some sections which are kind of like, I think, very good advice on programming in general. Like in the center, which I think, at least for me, if the book had started with those, then I would have been much more compelled to carry on reading. But that's me personally. I guess it's like closure of operations, conceptual contours, side effect-free functions. Yeah, intention revealing interfaces. This is what he calls part of the supple design. In chapter 10, chapter 10, I think, introduces a series of concepts with very, very easy to understand examples that are like, that would, get me, that would have really inspired me to read a lot more of it.
Yeah.
Well, anyway. So,
I mean, there are books, more modern books or whatever now.
Yeah.
Covering the subject more applied, I guess.
Well, I'll be interested. I mean, I'm looking forward to kind of finishing this and moving on to this Vaughan Vernon one, which was the application one. I mean, one of the guys at Makers was kind of a bit dismissive of it as like, oh, you just read the first chapter and the last chapter and you've kind of got everything. I don't know. I think there's with all of these things, there's just like, a space for reflection is no bad thing. Anyway, so we'll give me like, are you you think you can finish up that? I'm
going to try, I guess.
Yeah, cool. Give me like, I'll be about 90 minutes. I gotta eat, meditate, and probably do like a few emails for people. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, the like 4:15 UTC, which is like it's like 3.5 hours now, is nominally the kickoff thing. I mean, I sort of was planning to spend the rest of the day on LocalSupport anyway. But cool. I'll. Do you want the broadcast left running on here, or should I?
No, I mean, you can shut it off. I'm not gonna
shut that down. Yeah.